Don't marry ideas. And when I say marry, like, don't get married to them. Like, don't go take your vow and walk down the aisle with your ideas. What's up, pals, and welcome back to another episode of The Passion Project. I'm your host, Hallee Smith, visual storyteller and creator on TikTok and YouTube. I hope that this podcast can inspire you to get out of your comfort zone and into your passions so that you can live a truly fulfilling life. And the best part about it is that we're on this journey together. So let's go. Welcome back, Podcast Beans, into another In the Car episode. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see I'm in my car again. Now, before we jump into today's episode that I hinted at before the intro, I want to update you guys on my multi-passionate endeavors today. That being a new revenue stream that I picked up just kind of for funsies and because I missed my dogs and wanted some dog interaction but don't really have the means to get my own right now. So I signed up for Rover. If you guys haven't heard of it, it's a platform where you can basically be a dog sitter, or if you are on the other end and you need your dogs walked, you can go on there and find sitters. It's really fun, it's really easy, and it's kind of a pretty solid revenue stream. If you have extra time and you're bored and you really like walking dogs and you want an extra revenue stream, check out Rover. This isn't an ad, but it's something I just started doing. So yeah, it's kind of fun. The other thing that I recently started doing is working as an affiliate for ClassPass. If you guys haven't heard of ClassPass, ClassPass is a platform that allows you to try different workout classes. They also have like spas. You can get massages, facials, stuff like that for credits. So you don't have to sign up through that actual business. You get credits on ClassPass, and so then you can try a bunch of different places. I like to call it the app for people with commitment issues when it comes to what gym they want to go to, aka me, aka multi-passionate people. That's why I wanted to share it with you guys. Again, not necessarily sponsored. I will put the affiliate link that I do earn a small, very small commission off of, but I've been using ClassPass for over a year now. So check it out if you're interested, and maybe we can go to class together if we're in the same area. It's pretty fun. Okay, so today's topic. First of all, the inspiration for today's episode. I think this is something I'm going to start doing, is telling you guys the inspiration behind the episodes, because there really always is something that inspires what I want to talk about that week, whether it's something personal, something I listened to from someone else, or a combination of the two. And this week, it's a combination of the two. I listened to an episode this morning of a podcast called Being Boss, and it's for business owners and creatives. And the podcast episode was talking about to multi-passionates. So it really spoke to me, and they brought up some really good points. So pieces of that inspired today's episode, as well as the fact that right now I'm in a season of having way too many ideas flying around. This can be good and it can be bad. So today what we're talking about is taming your ideas as a creative, as a business owner. How can you tame those ideas so that they stay realistic and that you're not running all over the place and feeling constant overwhelm? Taming ideas is kind of something I already do when it comes to video ideas specifically. I have a system, and I think I've talked about this before in episodes, but I have a system down for capturing the ideas for my videos. But what I realized after listening to this podcast is this same concept can be applied to pretty much anything. It can be applied to ideas for your business, ideas for a podcast, ideas for anything. Anything where you are constantly coming up with ideas and you feel almost overwhelmed by them, you can use this logic and essentially this system. So in terms of taming ideas, the first thing I want to talk about is don't marry ideas. And when I say marry, like, don't get married to them. Like, don't go take your vow and walk down the aisle with your ideas. And now I first learned this term in design school. I went to college, I minored in graphic design, and one of the things they taught us was the design process. And so throughout the design process, one of the things they really stress in the beginning is to not get married to your ideas and to allow for yourself to freely explore a ton of different ideas. I would have projects where I had to submit like 100 sketches of something, and it wasn't to make these 100 good sketches. The idea was to make these 100 sketches just to get ideas flowing and get all of them out there and all in one place so that you can then, like I'm about to talk about, come back in and be strategic with which ones you pick and which ones are the best. And so as I was thinking through this episode, I came up with a bit of an analogy inspired by the marrying the idea concept. And so the analogy we're going to use to articulate and kind of organize and how to commit to or let go of certain ideas. And so what I want you guys to do is think of your ideas as a relationship. That's the analogy we're going to make. Much like a marriage, you don't want to hop into it the first time someone comes along. Think of your very first relationship, your boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, whatever. Think of your very first relationship. Where would you be today if y'all were still together or if you married that person? Probably wouldn't be great. I know in my circumstance, it would not be good. Of course, I'm saying this as one of my best friends is literally marrying her high school sweetheart. But for the purposes of this example, let's say, you don't want to be marrying that very first person that you come in contact with. You want to give yourself time to explore, figure out what you want, figure out what's best for you and what's best for your situation. Same thing with your ideas and your business ideas. And so you can do this by making a list. This is how I do it with my video ideas. I have one place. I use Airtable. You can use a notebook. You can use the notes in your phone. Have one place where you just capture every single idea that pops into your head. Whether you have to throw it down on a separate piece of paper that you have with you and the idea pops up and then you have to transfer it. Have one place where all of your ideas live. Think of this as the dating pool or like a dating app, something like that. And so once you have this outlet and this go-to place for your ideas, a place that you can flow freely and feel like you can explore and just get things out of your head and record them somewhere, then you can come in with the strategic thinking. Like I said, which ideas, once you have them all out and you can kind of see them, which ideas are the best? And how do you know which ones are the best? You could ask yourself which ideas align with what you want to do. What ideas align with your talents or your skills? Which ideas align with the resources at the time? Who do you know? What industries do you have connections in? Which ideas align with your vision or your ideal life? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Think about that. And then you will be able to envision which ideas could fit best into what you want and what you see for yourself and for your life or for yourself professionally in your business. Something else I've talked about before on here is having your foot on the gas versus your foot on the brake when it comes to finding new opportunities or coming up with ideas. You're not always going to want to be coming up with a million ideas. There's going to be times where you want to put your foot on the gas and come up with a bunch of ideas, or there's going to be times when you put your foot on the brake and you need to focus in on one thing or a couple things and stop having all of these distractions. And so that's why having this place to capture ideas is so crucial to helping you succeed as a multi-passionate person or someone who has a ton of different ideas, aka most creative people. So if we're not marrying the ideas, what are we doing with them? We're putting them on this paper and then we're thinking strategically about them, but what now? What we're going to do is we're going to redefine your relationship to the idea. So after you ask yourself these questions about these ideas, should you break up with the idea and let it go? Should you save the idea for later? Should you explore the idea further, or maybe you commit to the idea? This doesn't mean forever. I know commitment to an idea can be scary to multi-passionate people. So you want to think of it, and I actually heard this on that podcast this morning, thinking of it as a season of commitment and not a forever life sentence. So how can you commit to these ideas, the ones you deem best, with some focus, without feeling stuck? Now, I want to give you guys a very specific example of how I do this with my videos. As I mentioned before, I have this one place where all of my video ideas go. It's a huge list at this point, and I actually need to go in and clean it up here. And these ideas are all over the place. Like I said, anything that comes to mind. I have podcast ideas. I have completely new ideas. I have spin-offs of the things I already do. My videos on social media, if you don't watch them, I do all kinds of different stuff. I do skits. I do shopping challenges. I make smoothies. I do kind of lifestyle-esque vlog content. I've tried all kinds of different videos. And for me to say I have a niche in terms of my videos is really difficult. There's all these ideas, and this process that I just explained to you is something that I have to do regularly to stay on track and to make sure I'm picking the best ideas for my pages on social media. And now I got some feedback from you guys that you like the action steps, so I'm going to try to keep doing those. Two kind of key things we do in these episodes are the inspiration behind the episode and then the action steps, because I think inspiration is just so crucial. A lot of times we don't realize whatever you're consuming, it's inspiration. You have to put good things in your mind. You have to put things into your mind that you want to reflect into your life. Everything you do is inspired by something. Everything you see in the world is inspired by something. Everyone is constantly exchanging energy, being inspired by each other, etc., etc. So that's why I think inspiration is such a cool thing to build in to what you're doing and what you're talking about. So inspiration, number one, and number two, action steps. So today's action steps. This entire episode was essentially action steps, but just to break it down in a quick little list, start your idea journal. It could be a physical journal. It could be the notes section on your phone. You could use something like Notion or Airtable. I use Airtable. I use my notes app as well for podcast ideas, for random business ideas. So have a place for all of your ideas to live that you can reference back to easily. And then number two, ask yourself those questions we were asking earlier to decide which idea is best. What aligns best with your mission? What aligns with the life you want to have? What aligns with your talents or what you want to be known for? Or maybe your personal mission statement. And then the last thing is just to circle back to it. It's really easy to start something, and I do this a lot. I think everybody does this a lot. You start something, and then you forget about it, and you never come back to it again. Circle back to this list. Even if it feels irrelevant, you're constantly building it for a reason. And these ideas, you'll notice that a lot of times the best ideas will come back. If you pay attention, they'll come back over and over and over. And I told that story, I believe, on the exclusive podcast episode on our Patreon. I told the story about this podcast actually was an idea that kept coming back to me. It kept showing up again and again and again. And so I was like, that idea is the one that I need to go with. And that's why it felt aligned and it felt like the one and why I made that decision. So circle back. Number one, start the journal. Number two, ask yourself the questions to decide which ideas are the best. Eliminate the other ones, let them go. And then number three, circle back. Take this time to look over your ideas, figure out which ones are best for you in the season you're in and the season that you want to be in next. Be sure to subscribe, share this episode with a friend if you enjoyed it, write a review if you're really feeling inclined, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace out, Podcast Beans.